Hi, I'm Linda Mao, and welcome to Art This Week. On this week's episode, we visit the San Antonio Museum of Art and speak with the museum's Kelso Director, Dr. Katherine Luber, about the exhibition, The Art Books of Henri Matisse, Works from the Bank of America Collection. Now for Art This Week.
I'm here with Dr. Luber. She's the Kelso Director of the San Antonio Museum of Art, and we're here at the Art Books of Henri Matisse exhibition. So we're standing in front of one of 4 books that are shown here, and this is the Song of Minos. So if you could tell us a little bit about the 4 books that are on display here.
So we're very fortunate here at the museum today to be able to offer this exhibition, which is loaned to us from the Bank of America Collection. And these are 4 of Henri Matisse's best art books. Now, art books were specialized books that were made by artists, mostly in the 20th century in France, and they were made for a very specialized audience. So someone like Matisse would have taken a set of poetry, or a set of songs, or a set of symbolist poetry, in the case of one, the Méarmé book, and then he would have made illustrations to go with them. So it is that magical and wonderful union of an artist reading a poem and then making the illustrations that go with it. So much like a children's book in a way, but in a much more sophisticated level.
Being that they are first and foremost books, who or what were they first intended for?
They would have been made for a very specialized kind of collector, people who were really interested in that magical union between the poet and the artist. So Matisse would have taken this story of what's called the Chant de Minos, which are the Song of Minos, which is the story of the creation of the Minotaur, in fact. And then he looks at classical antiquity, he looks at black and white and red figure vase painting, but uses his own, as you said, unmistakable style to illustrate these. So you have this beautiful portrait of the mother of the Minotaur, Pasiphae, and then you also have a wonderful illustration of the bull, who she ends up mating with to become the father of the Minotaur. But he used these wonderful linoleum cuts in this book, especially to make these beautiful, beautiful line drawings that illustrate the story.
It's curious because they're strikingly modern and Matisse-like, but they have kind of a classical echo to them, which matches up well with the text. As with this one, it's about a classical text, but with 2 of the other 4, they match up with poetry. So the last book is about jazz, and that one doesn't necessarily have a specific narrative to follow. So how exactly does he explore that theme? Is he listening to a specific type of music, or just celebrating jazz in general?
Well, Matisse is interested in music of all kinds. So he's an accomplished violinist himself, and he paints music a lot in his paintings. He paints his son playing the piano. In the exhibition downstairs, there are 2 pictures of girls, one of them with 2 girls looking at sheet music holding a violin, and another one who is at rest after having played the violin. So we know that Matisse is always interested in music his entire career. At the end of his life, when he really couldn't paint very much anymore, because he lived to be very old, and he discovered that he could cut pieces of paper out and make designs and beautiful images. And he does that in the jazz. And you'll see those in a few minutes, but they're wonderful because they are truly poetic expressions of line and space and color without any use of the drawing implement. It's quite wonderful how he uses the edge of the paper to catch the line that he might use a pen, or in this case, a linotype with. It's very different.
All right, so here we are in front of an Icarus Cutout that is part of the jazz art book created by Matisse. So could you go into a little bit about why Matisse pursued the cutouts in his later career?
Yeah, so Matisse lived to be very old. And at the end of his life, he found that it was very difficult for him to draw or to paint, but he was still able to manipulate the scissors very well. And in fact, in the exhibition downstairs, there's a clip of a video that shows him using the scissors and cutting out these large pieces of paper into really quite small and delicate forms. And in the jazz book here, which is in the exhibition, he used that technique to great effect, where he uses, instead of using the pen or the pencil or the paintbrush, he really uses the edge of the cut paper to convey the line. And it's, I think, one of the hallmarks of Matisse's great creativity his whole life. And when he was, this is such a special addition to what we have going on downstairs in the big exhibition, because the Cohn sisters, who were such great patrons of Matisse, died before he did. And so he continued to make works well after he, after they stopped collecting. And at the end of his life, he was, you know, very absorbed in the cutouts. And you can see that it was a new way for him to just express his great creativity, and he must have been driven for that. There's a wonderful photograph downstairs as well of him lying in bed, and he just has to draw. So he's drawing on the wall with a large maul stick from his bed. I mean, what an artist.
Well, with jazz in particular as a genre, even just within the one jazz book, you can see that he kind of goes through all these different themes. I mean, this is classical with Icarus. He goes through cowboy theme. He goes through the lagoon and the kind of circus elements. So it does return back to that earlier classical text. And I think that mirrors the downstairs exhibitions in that he's always returning to these ideas and expanding on them. And I think that that really pairs well with the larger exhibition.
It does, and Matisse was, as we were talking before, he's very interested in music. So the jazz does reflect his lifelong passion for music, his interest. He was an accomplished violinist himself. You know, we see pictures of girls playing the violin downstairs, but the art and the poetry and the music are all, to him, they're all expressions of one creative mind. So I think what I love about this exhibition as an extra gift to our visitors is that they have a chance to really see how creative Matisse was in so many different forms and so many different art forms.
Yeah, it's a celebration, really, of all of it.
Fantastic, yes.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Luber, for speaking with us.
Well, thank you. It was a pleasure.
We want to thank Katherine for speaking with us. For more information on the exhibition, go to samuseum.org. That's it for Art This Week. Thanks for watching.
I still got your Polaroid.